You know that feeling. You're in a big meeting, you're trying to make a point, and this little voice in your head starts whispering that you're just not nailing it. So what do? You start talking more, right? You over-explain, you try to prove you know your stuff, and somehow you walk away feeling even less confident than before. Well, that's exactly what we're going to dig into today. We're going to talk about how our own brains can sabotage us and how we can take back control with something called silent confidence.
It all kicks off with a thought, just like this one. This little whisper is like a poison dart. It feels so real, so loud in your own head, and it sets off this chain reaction that totally undermines you right when you need to be on your A game.
And that chain reaction, it leads us right here into what I call the confidence trap. It's this super frustrating paradox where the harder we push to sound smart and competent, the less we actually come across that way. So let's look at a classic example of how this plays out. Okay, picture it. You're in a meeting, you've just put an idea out there, and a colleague just asks a question. It's probably a totally normal, innocent question, but that's not how your brain hears it, is it? Nope. Your heart starts pounding, you feel like you're under attack, and your first instinct is to defend, to justify, to elaborate like your life depends on it.
And this, right here, is the trap springing shut. We start frantically filling every bit of air with words, building this giant fortress of explanation around our idea. But here's the kicker. To everyone else in the room, that flood of words doesn't look like confidence. It looks like insecurity. The very fortress we're building to protect ourselves just ends up trapping us.
So what is going on here? Are we just bad at this? Not at all. It's not a personal failing. It's actually a glitch in our thinking, a cognitive bias. So in this next section, we're going to pull back the curtain and expose the specific lie your brain is telling you. The culprit has a name, and it's a classic, mind reading. See, we're not actually reacting to the person who asked the question. We're reacting to a whole negative story we just made up in our heads about what they must be thinking about us. We assume they're judging us when really they might just be curious.
And this slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? On the left is the lie our anxiety screams at us. Keep talking or they'll think you're an idiot. But the truth, over on the right, is so much simpler. That silence you're so scared of, it's not them judging you. They're just thinking. They're processing what you said. It's our frantic rush to fill that silence that actually sends the wrong signal.
So once you can see the lie, you can start to fight back. And that brings us to our next section, the power of the pause. This is about a super simple experiment that can completely flip the script on those high-pressure moments.
The secret weapon isn't some witty comeback or a perfect argument. It's just this: 3 seconds. That's it. The next time someone asks you a question that gets your heart racing, instead of jumping to answer, you just pause, you breathe, you wait for 3 whole seconds. And yeah, it's going to feel awkward at first, maybe even a little agonizing, but that discomfort is where all the power is. And you want to know what happens in that 3-second gap? When the person who wrote about this first tried it, something wild happened. The other person just started talking again. They clarified their own question. The silence created space, and in that space, all that pressure that felt so real just evaporated. Turns out it was all self-imposed.
All right, so now that we have this amazing insight, we can build a whole new playbook for how we communicate. So for our next section, we're going to lay out 4 simple, concrete rules. This isn't about learning to talk more. It's about learning to speak with more intention.
Here they are. It's so simple. First, you have to commit to the pause. Just make it your default setting. Second, work on cutting out those filler words. You know, the ums and ahs and you knows. A moment of silence is way more powerful than a filler word. Third, be concise. Just answer the question that was actually asked, not the 5 imaginary follow-up questions you're scared of. And last, number 4, let the silence hang there. It's not your job to be the hero who saves every quiet moment.
And all of these steps lead us to our final and maybe most important section, a complete rethink of what true confidence even means. Because this isn't just about learning a few new tricks, it's a deep shift in how we see ourselves. True confidence isn't a performance, it's about being in control of your own state.
And the results of making this shift are, honestly, incredible. The moment you stop treating silence like an enemy and start using it as a tool, you'll actually see people change how they interact with you. They lean in, they listen more closely because they know when you speak, it's going to be important. And that respect you are trying so hard to force by talking more, it'll just come to you naturally because you're showing real composure.
So let's just toss out that old definition of confidence, okay? It has nothing to do with dominating the conversation or being the loudest person in the room. As you can see right here, the new definition, the real definition, is all about regulating your own internal reaction. It's having the quiet strength to just sit with a little discomfort, to tolerate a pause, without letting your anxiety take over and run the show.
Which brings us to one final, really important question for you. Because this whole time, it was never really about what other people were thinking. It was always about the stories we tell ourselves. So the next time you feel that urge, that pressure to just fill the silence, I want you to stop and ask yourself this. What lies my brain telling me right now?